neighbors. Welcome to another episode of Tipsy Neighbors. We are 5 friends with varied opinions and backgrounds. We openly and honestly discuss the subject of the day. No topic is off limits. In fact, if you'd like us to chat about something that's been on your mind, find us on the web at tipsyneighbors.com, on Instagram at The Tipsy Neighbors, or on X, formerly Twitter, at Tipsy Neighbors. Now let's get this episode started.
Okay, so here we are, like middle of January already, and it's like the perfect time to talk about New Year's resolutions, which part of that is like the exercising portion of New Year's resolutions.
And dieting.
And dieting. Yeah, it all comes hand in hand. It's a big thing. Like, I think that's like usually the number one.
I say, isn't that everybody's New Year's resolution?
Yeah. Well, do you guys make New Year's resolutions, number one? And number two, do you make like fitness goals or dieting goals?
Yes.
No.
I want to say no because I don't really, but then in my brain, I think like, I should make this a goal. I should write this down. And then in reality, I'm like, if I write it down or just think about it, it's not going to change because that's not going to motivate me to actually make the goal either.
Yeah. The moment someone says we need to make a goal or a New Year's resolution, I turn off.
Someone's got
oh
trauma
my gosh,
around
why?
that.
I totally did
If you
that
say goal to me, if you say goal to me, that will engage me. If you say New Year's resolution goal, I disengage.
You're out.
Ooh.
I do too.
Wow, why is that
let's
triggering?
set a
Just the
goal for you to
terminology
cook
of it.
dinner 5 nights a week. I like this. I didn't know
And
that
do
was
laundry.
motivating.
If you could do laundry once a week, Brad, if we could set that goal, Whitney would be so happy.
I'm going to start writing goals all over the house.
And which room is getting the wallpaper this year?
Let me,
Let's go for the trifecta.
I'm going to turf that to Whitney. Whitney, when are we getting new wallpaper?
But don't
Never.
do it together because
That's
that
a
will
personal
not end
goal?
well.
It will not end well.
No, but that's interesting though. So goals, like you're all about, but the whole New Year's resolution thing has kind of a negative connotation to it.
I think so because for me,
Yeah.
because how many people start their New Year's resolution goals and maybe a fraction of a percent go through with them, right?
Well,
that's
that's
what
me.
I would say. I mean, that's my opinion.
Well, and I think that's a good point. That's,
But we're at work, like everybody that works, we put goals out there, right?
Yeah, I
all
hate
year,
those.
all year round.
Yeah, work goals. Work
They are the worst. Every time there's a
Well, I guess putting it
yearly
down,
thing, like don't write any goals down.
not
for
in the
me, okay?
evaluations, but like personal goals for yourself at work or whatever it is.
Is that
like I'm going to
different?
show
Does anybody
up on
else have
time,
those? Like in real estate,
which hasn't happened yet this year.
I mean, that's just a shitty goal.
Yeah, don't put that one down. Don't put that one down.
I'm also guilty of that one. But like for real estate, like 3 of you guys are in the real estate game-ish.
Yeah.
And don't you guys have personal goals of I want to sell X amount of houses, I want to list X amount of houses a year? As like a personal goal?
No, I'm
or I want to
surprised every
do
time.
more?
Yeah, I do like to get to the end of the year and just be like, look at what I
Look
did.
at how great this year was.
I think it's good to set a goal, but January 1st, I don't want to sit down and be asked, what are your goals?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's
Like,
why when
no,
you call it a New Year's
no.
resolution, it just automatically is off-putting for me.
It's off.
See, and I think
It's the same damn thing. I
for
know,
me,
but-
it's not so much like a New Year resolution as in like, but it's like a time to start fresh. Like
No, wait till February.
No, I love it. I love just the idea of starting fresh. And one thing that's helped me is not necessarily like setting an exact goal, but saying, hey, this year I'm going to work on X.
So
or
more
I want to
intentions.
become better at X.
I like the
See this?
intentions because that's how I feel
Yeah.
with a lot of my stuff is I want to learn to golf this year. I want to learn, like there's intentions. I'd like to do more social media or more like, or, for real estate or there's more intentions.
More focus
Yeah.
areas
Yeah.
versus a hard goal. And I
Yeah.
would be more comfortable if someone said, what are your intentions or what are you trying to focus on versus let's write a goal.
Yes, because a goal sounds like this is a hard thing. You need to meet this or you're a loser.
Yeah, it's like, it's daunting. It just becomes daunting.
So the past few years, as I've been looking at this, I've now, like, I guess, what would you say, like, distilled down my goals to two things. I look at what I did great last year, and for me, it was like focusing on one word: balance. And what does balance mean for me? Well, I try to focus a little bit in the morning on my own personal stuff. I write in my journal. I do that kind of stuff, right? And then,
and again, we're neighbors and we're creepy, and so Ty's backyard is like right
Justin's been watching
right
Ty
behind
write his journal.
Whitney and Brad's house, as well as like I have straight view into Ty's backyard from the front of my house.
Are you reading
Ty
his
wakes
journal?
up at like 4 a.m. And
Not
he's
always.
every morning he's like writing in his journal on his back patio, and
only
it's
when it's
always
warm.
freaking impressive. Like I think that's awesome. By the way,
I wish it was warm enough to do it, but I also am glad it's cold enough to ski. But thank you. Thanks.
Sorry, I interrupted
I don't do it to be noticed or anything like that. I like the
No,
fire.
I know.
and
Well,
how
we're
ambiance.
We know when you meet your
Good.
goal and when you don't meet your goal.
We're checking that off every day.
but I totally interrupted you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And then I try to focus on like career stuff. I try to check in with my kids and then try and stay consistent with physical fitness. So that first part is looking back at last year and what was good and what can I continue next year.
Yeah.
And then I try and identify where I was lacking, and I make that the second word. So my 2 words this year are balance and consistency. Because, and this plays really well into what we're talking about, on the physical side of things and the diet, that's where I lack the consistency. And I've kind of identified that when I am consistent, I really make strides, and I just lack that discipline to
But I
stick
think
with
on
it.
that consistency part, I think that the second word balance probably plays a huge part into that, because I think that's the problem that
That's for
everybody
sure.
has with their goals is they don't know where to balance it, right? Like everybody that has their diet or exercise goals, like I'm going to do it 5 days a week, but yet they don't think about what the actual balance is of what
You have
life
to have a life, and
brings at
sometimes
you.
that's not realistic.
I agree 100%. And I think on top of that is like the meals, like the eating aspect of it too, which is obviously super important to our health goals and whatnot. But it's like, we always make goals that are like, I'm not going to have soda this year, or I'm not going to have sweets this year, which again, like I think is great. But at the same time, I've noticed for myself, when I make goals like that, where I'm eliminating something, it's like when I do eat it, I'm like, oh, well, that's dumb. I just ate it, and it's
Yep.
freaking January
Okay.
4th.
So Whitney
Makes me feel like
And
those
now
are-
One piece of
I've-
licorice, 2 bags later.
Yes, exactly.
I literally saw
Okay.
a social
It's
media
me.
post.
Yeah, pull it up and read it, because
Well, I didn't save it. I should have, but
it was perfect
basically-
for what you just said, and we thought of you when we saw it.
No, because I knew we were coming to
I'm
record
kidding.
this episode, so I was like, this would actually be perfect. But it was a girl that said, like, point of view, you're craving a cookie, so instead you eat
I saw
a rice
this
cake,
too.
and you
Yes,
eat
I saw that
like
too. That's
a thing
hilarious.
of peanut butter, and you eat an apple, and you like,
Yep.
and then you end up eating the whole thing of cookies instead of just
allowing yourself
allowing
to have
yourself
to
the
have
one
one
cookie and
cookie.
being
Amen.
and
Yeah.
being good and walking
And
away.
that's
I
the
wish.
balance.
Yeah.
Right? I think
okay,
like
3 cookies and then
think-
walking away.
By the way, all the goodies tonight are going home with you guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right,
While we're
okay.
talking about this, we literally have red vines, peanut M&Ms,
a bread.
pretzels,
The bread that Whitney
Bread.
talked about
Like,
3
so-
episodes
yeah, I
ago.
brought the bread.
We're definitely not perfect, and we're not portraying to be perfect. I think it's
I-
just part of what I think everybody goes through this
Yes, I
time.
think that's actually been my goal the last 2 years is more of the balance and finding what's going to work for me personally. I'm sick of I'm going to cut out soda. I'm not going to eat this. Because as soon as I do that, that's all my brain thinks about. I want that cheeseburger. I want the soda. I want even if before it really wasn't that big of a player in my life, all of a sudden I try to cut it out and that's all I want. So for me, I have to think more balance. I'm going to have the cookie occasionally. I'm going to have the soda. I'm going to
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
you have got to balance that out because otherwise it's not a lifestyle
yeah.
change. You
Well-
can't live like that forever of cutting all these things out of your life.
And balancing it out and realizing that, hey, yeah, you know what? I just enjoyed a cookie, or I enjoyed a freaking cylinder full of red vines.
Yeah, let's not feel guilty about it. Let's move on.
Tub of red vines.
In quotes,
Yeah.
the tub.
But like, and then, but quite honestly, like in years past, I would feel super guilty about it. And I would actually, then the next day, it would almost start kind of this downward trend, and I would get in it, like into a deep hole essentially. But now I feel like where I focus, like I've changed my focus it was probably about last year. And it's like, you know what, enjoy those things. The next day, just get back up, get an exercise in or whatnot. And it doesn't have to be this. I used to always think like, oh, well, I've exercised today, so now I can't go and enjoy that because it cancels each other out.
Right.
Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yes.
But then,
Yes.
and then you end up binging, and then you're like, oh crap. Whereas if you would have just allowed yourself that one bite
You'd have been
or
fine.
that one cookie or whatever, yeah. Exactly, it would have
Yeah.
been fine.
'Cause I think instead of the word balance, for me, it would probably be moderation. And I think that's where a lot of it, like for working out, for example, like a personal goal, not a New Year's resolution, but a personal goal is I want to, once I got out of the military, I got an infection in my leg. It was bad. They had to cut it, basically my whole thigh out. And I didn't work out after I got out of the military. Plus that, I didn't work out for like a year and a half. And it just, my health went down from there. And that's when I did my self check, and made that goal of like, I need to take my health serious. I need to, and I kind of went against I'm not going to do it because nobody's now forcing me to do it. So it was kind of a screw you, middle finger to the military in a way.
Yeah.
But the moderation goal of getting back into it was I need to do it 5 days a week. I need to exercise 5 days a week. That for me is not realistic because that moderation did not work with the balance of life for me. And so now it's 3 days, and I'm like, if I can get 3 days, that's what my goal is. Some weeks I'll get 4 days, some days I'll get 5 days, but the goal is
Trying to focus on that. Yeah.
and then moderation with like eating and stuff. I can't have a cookie every once in a while. It's like I'm not going to eat cookies for the rest of the year or whatever it is. I think that's unrealistic.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
moderation, I mean, that's the key of life, I think, for everyone.
I think you bring up another good point, Brad, and it's finding something beyond some possibly, if we're lucky, written down goal to attack these things, to have these goals, right? It's finding a motivation to get out and a reason to get in the gym, a reason to do these things that we don't super enjoy all the time. This past weekend, as you guys know, I went with a bunch of friends and went canyoneering. I am in no shape to be slinging myself off cliffs like that.
I feel like you need a shirt that says that. Like
I swing.
I'm here anyway.
Oh, wow.
I was thinking like big canyoneering across the shirt, but I like the I swing. That sounds really good.
Clarification.
I go down.
Again.
So as I dangled from a rope, the actual in the canyon part wasn't too bad. We had the right equipment and everything like that. That was super fun. But the approach up, I was so in my head. It's like, I shouldn't be here. I'm slowing everybody down. I'm always the last one. And that really gets to me. And sometimes that can ruin the trip for me. Like even when I'm like skiing and I'm hiking up the hill with my buddies and everything like that. Just feeling like I'm ruining the trip for other people, even though it's totally in my head.
It totally is, because any friend is going to be like, we're doing this together. This is awesome. Like, how fun is this?
And everybody was exactly that way, which was super awesome. But I get home and then I do have that kind of reinvigorated motivation.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
No one else made me feel like that. I made myself feel like that. But there's plenty of stuff that I can do in the gym, in the front room, in where all of my cardio equipment is.
Do you want to show us? Go ahead. Show us what you can do in the front room.
But don't wear your shirt that says I swing.
No.
Or as Whitney said, I go down.
We'll make those.
Wow.
You will be
You
able
can
to
buy
buy those.
whatever one you want.
Fantastic. I will hand those out. I'm sure all of my new friends will love those. Actually, their humor is very similar to mine. We had a great time. So it was fun meeting a lot of new people.
But Ty, I think to your point too, though, is like where you go on these things and you feel like you're the one holding people back or holding them from doing it. I think the fact that you're there doing it is impressive. Like that is a good thing because at least you went out and you did it and you put forth the effort.
I didn't do shit this weekend.
I would go back to like my own experiences. I know I should go to the gym. I know I should be working out. I don't know what to do. And so I don't.
I did see that you worked out for the 4th time.
I
in
have.
10 years.
Yeah, we
4
saw those
times
muscles
in
popping.
1 year.
He has such a good trainer.
Yes, Justin has been amazing not to laugh at me as I go flying across the equipment.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we were doing pull-ups.
It was the worst.
And I was
you
like,
do a
oh,
pull-up?
let's just
No.
use these
Me
bands.
neither.
Like I have these bands that help, the assisted
Yes.
pull-ups.
They
Oh, yeah.
are not
I am very
assisted.
familiar.
I
They
helped
are
get him
spring-loaded.
I helped get his foot in it, and all of a sudden I let go, and his feet just go right
I
into the
shot
wall.
right
I was
into
like,
the wall.
oh my
You
god!
do remember that Curry weighs like 40 pounds,
He
right?
put 2 of those bands on me and let go. I
You
literally
shoot him like an arrow.
smashed the wall.
It creates
Your head
negative
didn't
weight.
go to the ceiling.
I wish it was recorded because I smashed the wall and I'm like, yeah, not doing that again. Nope. But I think the biggest thing that for me is a challenge that I just don't even know what to do. We have the equipment standing right there in the room and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. I'll go on a walk.
Curry, if you went to the gym, you would realize that 90% of the people there really don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just there doing whatever, which
It's
is good that they're out
intimidating,
there.
though.
It's intimidating. That
It's
is overwhelming to
intimidating.
me.
Like even like someone, I feel like I understand most equipment and how to lift and stuff, and I don't like to go to the gym. Like I am intimidated by going when there's a lot of people watching me, and even
Thing
just
is, nobody's
understanding.
watching you.
Well, but even understanding like gym
they would be.
etiquette. Because there is gym etiquette that you have to be aware of too. Of like, who does that make sense? Like, I just think it's awkward personally. Like,
That's why I have a gym in my basement.
say
And a yoga
I'm-
studio.
We have gym equipment in our basement as well. I am much more motivated going to the gym because I know no one's really watching me. I'm not watching anybody when I'm at the gym. I'm totally in my head about what I'm doing. But seeing another girl lift or seeing this person do that, I'm like, I can probably do that.
Oh yeah,
I can
you can
probably
get
do
you
more.
could watch
I
how
can
they do
probably-
it to
Yeah,
understand how
so-
to do it. I could see
yeah,
that.
you
Yeah.
get
but
on
do you
one
know
machine.
how to do it before you get onto the machine?
I would say by like now, I probably know most machines. But if you sit on one machine and you do it long enough and you're like, okay, I really want to do that machine, I don't know, someone's going to be on that machine. And you're like, oh,
just
okay.
watch 'em
That's
and
how
believe
they got
in
it.
You just hope that they
exactly
know
like
what they're
that.
doing.
Yeah, nobody's watching. Whitney says nobody's watching you.
But yet she watches the other one.
I go
Maybe
because
not
I love
watching,
being
but I'm not
judged.
judging anyone. I'm
true.
just there like, how did you use that machine? Okay, all right.
I was
used it like this,
completely
I can do
judging
that.
a guy today. He was doing push-ups. I was on the elliptical and he was behind
Rude.
in the mirror. And this guy was doing what he thought was like 400 push-ups. But in reality, it was like one giant push-up because he would do like, they were almost like pulses, like he was convulsing. He would only go down like 2 inches. I'm like, what are you doing,
Maybe that's
man?
what he
But
intended to
I was
do.
totally judging the guy. But
I think I do only judge the people that are there just to like.
So nobody's
look
watching, but
pretty
Brad's
or
watching.
look
I'm
good.
judging.
Right? I'm learning something here. Nobody's watching, but both Whitney and Brad are watching.
Are
The
watching.
people that are there that are all dolled
isn't
up
there a
and they're not
poem
really
about
there to
that?
work out. They're just there to like peacock their feathers out and
Yeah,
like.
That would be me because I wouldn't know how
it's
to
not.
use the equipment.
You would be the one that'd be like shy, like, okay, please don't look at me. No, there's people there that are literally there to be like, please, everybody look at me
Yeah.
and please come talk to me.
Especially
Look
the-
at how
need my
gorgeous
shirt.
I
Well, yeah,
am.
especially
Look at
the
my big
bougie
muscles.
gym.
They need
especially
my
the
shirt.
gym we go
The
to.
bougie gym that you guys go to.
We were talking
That's
about
true.
that at work
That's
today,
true.
and I was like, I go because it has the best daycare. It's 2.5 hours. No other gym has that. But we were
Yeah.
talking about it at work today, and they're like, oh my gosh, can't believe you go there. I'm like, I don't care about the gym. I just care about the daycare.
which is a big part. I mean, because I would
makes
say,
sense.
And the whole reason we went there was COVID. Like COVID shut down our gym, which was 90 minutes for kid care, and it shut it down. And then the first one to bring it back was this gym. And I was like, oh shit, that's really expensive. But then we started going because it was the only gym we could get into with kids.
All of a sudden, Brad's dropping his kids off at daycare or at the
See
gym,
ya.
and then like going out to
I'm
dinner.
going to a movie.
How
Well,
come
they do that. You can sign up and go to date nights.
Seriously, in the
That's
summertime.
crazy.
it reminds me of the signs that were like at IKEA because people were like dropping their kids off and leaving for like 6 hours.
Wasn't that on the news?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tyler,
that was totally on the
please
news.
come
Someone
back to the
got in
daycare.
trouble. Yeah, they called the
It's
cops.
a little off topic, but
Yeah, well, it's daycare's big because I think like for me, a lot of my guilt around taking care of myself is that I do feel selfish. Like I feel like I've been gone all day at work, and to come home and then go spend another 45 minutes or an hour working out and away from the kids, like I feel guilty doing that. And like the other options, yeah, you could wake up in the morning, but then like freaking
one wants that
December and
option.
January
No one
and
wants that
February, they're so dark. It's
never see
gloomy.
the
It's
sunlight.
cold. It's depressing. Like the last thing I want to do is wake up an hour earlier to work out. Like it's super hard. I can totally do that in the summers, but like I feel like this time of year is the hardest time of year to stay motivated, which is when you're like the most motivated to, it's a new year. And that's just the one more challenge that we face when trying to, change our lifestyle and add that in. But
agreed.
So since you're the New Year's resolution person, what New Year's resolutions did you make this year?
well, in regards to exercising, I've shifted to where it's not so much a set goal. I found a lot of success last year of just having it be a focus of, hey, I want to focus on getting 3 to 4 30-minute workouts in a week. And I think that was the other thing is me shifting my mindset of I always thought like you had to go work out for an hour or an hour and a half. Like that's what it took to get a good workout in. And I've noticed that if I have 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes that I wouldn't have gotten the exercise in. And so I found a lot of success in just focusing on, hey, 30-minute workouts throughout the week. So really I work out probably 2 hours a week and have found really good success last year. So that was kind of my focus bringing it into this year. And then my eating is more of like, I'm really trying hard not to eat candy. As you can see, that works really well when I come over to Ty's house.
My bad.
When all the candy's out.
But candy is a big thing for me. Like I want to allow myself, I love pastries. I love those kinds of things. So like I want to enjoy that once in a while. But I'm trying to make it so it's not like a nightly habit, which is what that like for me, I would get into these down cycles where it's like, I mean, for a while I was like, when we got married, I gained 50 pounds from like when Curry and I first got married. So,
And that's because I only knew how to cook casseroles.
well, no,
was
it
gonna
was
say
for,
and
because
those Jello,
it was a lot of
Jell-O
things.
casseroles.
One, because like, again, the guilt aspect of like being away from my family to have self-time, which I've learned, like you need self-care and you need to take care of yourself. And by doing that, then it's literally like the oxygen masks in the airplane. Like you have to help yourself before you can help others.
Yep.
And I think that's super important when it comes to your own health and exercise is you have to take care of yourself and then you're able to take care of your family. That's been a huge thing for me. And then also just like we used to drink wine. We used to drink like a bottle to 2 bottles of wine every single night.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that
Curry's like,
Curry's like,
well,
I
we
miss
still
those
do, but
nights.
it's just me.
Now I do
We
it
do. Where
alone.
one of us is me.
Now I just have to do it alone.
So this year that's what I would say are my kind of fitness goals is just being more active and not making it necessarily like a set time, but just being aware of it so that it actually happens and just know that, yeah, if I have a donut one day, it's not a big deal. Like the exercise is still better than no exercise at all with
Totally.
the donut. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But I do think it's a hard time of year. I think like everything in front of us is weight loss or a new diet plan or a new exercise machine. Like how many people do you know that's filled their basements full of exercise equipment that they don't use?
Why is everybody looking at me?
Oh, I think we're all guilty of that.
Every one of us has a gym in the basement,
It's true.
right?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
of us have a gym in the basement, and I would rather drive a half hour to go to the gym and spend 3 hours away from home.
So
And I don't know what it is, but it's just like with soda for me at work. I'm trying to think of almost forever. We've always had a soda machine at work for as long as I can remember. And I can count on one hand how
Isn't
many
that
times
odd?
I've had a soda.
isn't that odd that a healthcare system?
Well, we
Has
have
a soda
patience.
machine?
We have patience.
Is it next
I know,
to the
but isn't
cigarette
that
vending
odd?
machine?
Not at all. People have to drink.
Yeah. mental health.
Never seen champagne at the hospital.
Ooh,
I mean, it's not a rehab.
Stall on tap.
It's not rehab.
Like it is just odd that when you think about it,
Well,
soda's
I
probably
think
like
it's
one
so
of the worst
mainstream
things
now.
for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I was going to
It
say,
seems fine
one
to
of the
me.
worst
It's
things,
doing
I'm
wonders for
pretty
me. I
sure
like
every
it.
fast food restaurant I drive by is probably worse. But
One of the worst.
yes.
Yeah.
One of the healthcare systems here in Utah, one of the biggest, they actually went away from sugar sodas.
You can still get diet.
You can
sodas,
still get diet, but they got rid of all sugared sodas.
Interesting.
Yeah.
which is just
Which
real
in
annoying.
another 5 years, they're going to realize that all the aspartame and everything causes
Exactly.
cancer. And they'll-
Yeah,
It's a
it's all-
step
They'll bring it
forward,
back.
but it's a,
They'll bring
there's
it
always
back.
something
Natural
else.
sweeteners.
Yeah.
But having it that close and that easy access, I won't do it. I don't have soda at work. Like
You like
in
to make it hard for yourself?
Well, in probably 15 years, because even at engineering firm we worked at,
Yeah.
we had a soda machine, and I've probably had 5 sodas at work in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I do want to offer a counter argument to the going to the gym thing and focusing and stuff like that, because even before I lived over here, when I was married and stuff like that, I would go to the gym, and I'm the type that would get so wrapped up on my phone. You know, I'd get on the elliptical and not be doing anything except for looking at my phone, wondering what emails and stuff I had to answer and whatnot. So for me, it's kind of a psychological play to have something in the basement where I know I can just go downstairs. It'll take me 50 minutes down there, 10 minutes to shower, and I can get right back to what I was doing before. So that's a big thing for me. And then
Yeah.
Curry, to your point about not knowing what to do, like that, it was crushing me. That has crushed my soul for a couple of decades. But now there are apps on my phone. In fact, there's one that I use that I can put in all the equipment that I own, and it will actually schedule workouts every day, including looking at what muscle groups have recovered and stuff like that. So some of that stuff is kind of
That's
played into
awesome.
the consistency,
Yeah,
because
that's
there's like this
awesome.
motivation of like, okay, this muscle group's ready. I want
Yeah.
to keep that going. There's a lot of, I'm kind of a gear whore when it comes to this kind of stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Totally. Well, I'm a whore in a lot of ways, but to
You have
have
another room for that?
The red room.
A room for everything.
it reminds me of an old. Anyway,
Girlfriend?
too many to count. But just figuring out what does lend itself to my consistency helps me to stay motivated. It's one of those things that again adds balance, and clearly I have a lot of work to do. But I did so much better last year. I don't know if you guys recall, but we were on vacation. And I was hiking my ass off on the
I
treadmill.
definitely do recall.
We
And
remember.
your Lululemon dress pants.
Picture
They
this.
were Lululemon. Hello,
In your
they're made
dress
for it.
clothes after a formal dinner on the
After a
treadmill.
lot of food.
In Cabo, Ty's working out of the gym at 10 p.m. All Lululemon.
Remember when we
Night
did the
attire.
After we ate the largest meal
dinner?
Of our
we have
entire
ever-
life.
we have ever, think of Thanksgiving and double it.
Well, that was goals,
With
right? For
Chinese
me,
food.
I wanted to close those. I didn't pick the
rings.
best month for
Which
it, but
night
close
was
those
that? Was that
rings.
the-
The Chinese.
That was the Chinese
I
food.
cut
night.
myself.
that Chinese
I cut
night?
myself
I don't
off
remember.
because we had to walk away from.
Yeah.
You and Whitney kept
You
walking
came back.
out
Well,
and
we had to
taking
leave.
turns.
Our kids kept calling.
Oh yeah.
And they just kept bringing plates and plates and plates.
so bad. It looked like there was 30 people sitting at our table of 5.
Oh my gosh.
It was
I
great.
think what I'm realizing from this conversation is I have no idea what actually motivates me to do anything.
Oh, well, it's good to find that out.
I think like you're really good at looking back at previous years and saying, this is where I did really well. This is where I didn't, which is probably what made you so good in business.
yeah,
I'm just like, you know what? That's the past. Like, let it go. Let's not think about it again. You know, like it was in the past. So, I don't know what motivates me to hit any goal.
Well, it'd be good to find that out. Just kind
I
of.
mean, maybe.
Well,
Do you journal? I won't go
No.
into that. I won't do that to you.
Why would I do that?
Well, I also
I
think,
am a personal trainer and a life
and
coach.
I think it depends for
I'll just send you daily voicemails.
Not at all.
looking at Whitney's life since we're married
this morning.
is like your goals. You hit your goals when you sign up for something, when you have something to
Yeah,
a goal
that
to
is
hit,
true.
right? Instead of just this arbitrary goal of
If there's
I
not an
wanna
end
lose
goal, if I'm
10
not getting
pounds.
a medal out of something,
if
like,
it's well, and that's
The
the thing.
half
I'm not doing
marathon
it.
So-
in
Oh,
2
no,
months.
no,
or
that
something
sounds
like-
awful. Don't
Yeah,
sign
no.
me up for that.
And in
Well,
all honesty,
that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
we,
That's sort of
we used to
motivation.
do all the half marathons and the
We used to do like all the
10Ks, all that
Spartan
stuff. The
and-
only way Whitney would ever do it or train for it is if there was a medal. Seriously.
Fair
There
enough. Fair
there
enough.
had to be
I
that
want to be
tangible piece of
recognized.
metal you
I
were
want a
getting.
medal.
okay,
to put
but
on the
this
wall.
is really shocking to me because you were a freaking bodybuilder.
But there was a goal at the end of that.
There was an award.
There was an award.
There was a
There
competition.
Medals,
award.
trophies,
Yeah, there was a
And getting on the
competition, a
stage.
trophy.
some swords.
If you guys could bring me a medal every time we podcast, no, just kidding.
Brad, I found the solution for the laundry thing.
Oh yeah.
Here is your
you-
medal of the
here's
week.
your
You
gold
are the best
star.
laundry doer in the house.
But it's got to be like some sort of like charm
Achievement,
necklace or
like-
something. So it's
A
each
diamond
time-
necklace, I like
each
it.
time
Yes.
you hook in a new way to go. That's 10
Pretty
loads
sure
in a day.
pretty
know,
sure I get
that
those on
is-
Temu.
That is actually probably
Probably.
really what motivates me is there has to be almost like an end in
Tangible
sight.
gift.
Like an acknowledgement of
Like,
what you
yes,
did.
like an acknowledgement of like, oh, you did so good, but also an end in sight. Like, I don't want this to be a forever goal.
ongoing.
I kind of am a short, like, let's get
Short
this
term.
goal and let's move on to the next
But there
one.
has to be
That
something
explains
tangible.
the Ragnar 2008 stickers on your car.
Thank you. We're not filling them with any more. Been there,
We're
done that,
done.
checked it off.
Fair enough.
So I think another hard thing is the amount of information that's out there. And especially with social media, the way that it is, like everybody's trying so hard to become an influencer or to be known and for you to reshare, like to create content essentially. So, and there's a lot of good stuff out there that you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then like the more you read about it or the more that comes out, like you're like, oh shit, that was completely false. And it's just really, really hard to kind of sift through some of the BS. Does that make sense?
How do you
yeah.
find the good stuff?
Well, and I
amongst the
think
bad?
that's where I shut down is I'm like, I can watch one video that tells me do this, this, and this. And the next one tells me do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And they contradict. And I don't know the difference between either one. And so I just continue with what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, and it's something that like we don't learn a lot of that stuff like in school. And I don't know about you
Not at
guys,
all.
like growing up, like did your families, like did you guys ever talk about like did they ever exercise? Did you have like
Like, as
exercise
a family,
equipment
or-
around? Like, well, just did you ever see your parents working out essentially? Or did you even or like I think back, like I grew up on a farm and my dad was always out on the farm, but like exercise was never a thing outside of just sports or like you go to school and maybe took a gym class, but I always skipped out on that. I would check in and then I would leave.
I never saw my family. My parents never went to the gym. They didn't instill the exercise thing. We were always outdoors anyways.
Your mom had a treadmill.
She did have a treadmill.
Did she use
It's
it?
true. She did.
Okay.
So
More-
did my
more
mom. My
stories
mom
to
was
come
like a
on
daily
that.
Yeah.
walker and stuff. Never saw my dad ever
Exercise.
do anything.
Same. My
of
dad
exercise,
was big
ever.
into like sports. Like he played baseball. Even when we were little, like he played baseball
yeah,
or
some
softball
ward
with his
softball. Yeah,
with his brothers and family. But that was all I ever saw my dad do.
Amen.
My
Me
mom
too.
had like the step like aerobics thing, like step aerobics.
Yeah.
And I saw her in her room. Yeah. I saw her in her room doing that a couple, ankle weights, step on, but that's all I really remember.
But we ended up buying a weight set because me and my older brother, we played football and we had weight class and all that stuff, but you wanted to do it on the weekend. And we were always like super skinny growing up. We were tall, lanky. We wanted to build muscle, not realizing that we couldn't be the Arnold Schwarzenegger size. But so we bought the weight set. We all went in, me and my brother and my dad, we all pitched in thirds to buy this weight set. We had that in our basement and worked out on weekends.
But your dad was big into like triathlons and running and right?
That's true. Until he had a brain issue. Yeah. And then after that, like it rewired him and he never ran again. But
see, growing up for me, like we always had the equipment. There was always this gym full of equipment, but there was no.
Was that down the hallway from the library, or where was that located?
it was by
Yes, it was.
Same level.
it was by the butler's
It was on
quarters.
the other level.
When I was allowed in the home, I got to go to the gym, or I got to
You
go
saw
see the
it.
gym.
You did
there was
see
a
it.
tanning bed in there too.
I had a friend that had a tanning bed, and that always blew
The
me
tanning
away.
bed was the only one we were ever educated on how to use.
Oh,
Everyone
I could
gets
tell you
7
how to work a tanning bed, but I could not tell you how to use any of the other equipment in there.
God, I
Oh
love
my
it.
gosh.
I love it.
And it was like always the latest and greatest. Like, what was that pull-up machine where you
Is it like a
Bow
row
flex?
machine or
like an
the?
ab machine
Or
where
the
you like pull up and
Total
the seat
Gym?
moves up too all
Yeah.
at the same
What
time,
was
like an
that
ab
called?
cruncher type.
Yeah, it is like a crunch.
the
yeah.
Flow Rida.
But like we always had these like the greatest
Like a Bowflex and stuff
infomercial.
like
Oh,
that.
not even a Bowflex. Like
Oh, that's too cheap.
infomercial late night TV.
QVC.
We had that
QVC.
stuff too.
Yeah.
That's what we always had, the latest and greatest, but none of us had a clue how to use it. And we never saw anyone on it.
Well, and it
But
didn't
your
work.
family is also like genetic wise, like they're really
Yeah, can you
thin.
put on weight?
They're thin.
Well, I will let you know because Justin made a goal for me.
Is it a weight gain? Is it a weight gain goal?
Trainer Justin.
I don't
What
know
is
what
this
my
called?
goals are. He made them.
No, I did not make a goal for you. We are trying to be more active this year, and we're trying to eat better. That is a goal that I mean.
like it.
That's the other thing is like I feel like growing up, my mom, she cooked meals from scratch. Like I was really spoiled that way. Like she always like we very rarely ate out, and I think now of like I feel guilty for what I'm doing to my kids. Like I feel guilty for what I'm letting them eat and what we essentially consider meals or food.
Does
that
everyone,
make sense?
Is everyone else in that same category? Like I feel like I'm in the same where my mom made home cooked from scratch meals every single night.
No.
And I mean, I think
You weren't like that.
No, I mean my mom rarely cooked, but my dad cooked meals from scratch, like
How
and
often?
stuff. But the older we got, the more we were involved in sports and all this stuff. So we were running around, and the more we grabbed food on the go, or it was a quick
Freezer
like
meals or
hamburger helper or freezer meals or like fish sticks, like stuff like that. So
yeah.
I
Like
carry no guilt.
We would do grilled cheese in that sandwich machine.
George
basically.
Foreman.
That was
the
like,
little smasher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the George Foreman?
No,
More
kind
like-
of,
like
the George
kind of
Foreman.
like that.
Similar concept.
Yeah.
similar thing. But yeah, that was a big thing for us.
Yeah.
We always had dinner, but we had candy drawers in the house. And so it was always accessible, and we would all just eat candy all day long and then have dinner.
I like it.
But
Well, when your metabolism is as high as yours,
I didn't know you lived at Willy Wonka's factory.
yes, totally.
it was next to the candy shop where the gym was.
Where's the chocolate river?
There is something to be said about that, though, in the sense of like, I did not grow up like that, and so now when I have candy, I freaking binge it. Like
There
I
is.
eat it, and where he can just
I can
have
eat
one or two pieces,
I can eat one and be
it's
done,
like-
and I
it's-
don't.
I feel the same. Like we
It's
grew up
interesting.
with my mom kept a lot of candy. My mom doesn't like fruit. I don't like a lot of fruit, so my mom never really bought a lot of that stuff. But we always had candy around, and I feel like because of that, now as an adult, we don't need like. I know what it tastes like. I'm still
Yeah,
gonna
you don't need
eat
it. You'll grab
like
it here and
occasionally,
there, but-
yeah, but I don't need to gorge on it or
Yeah.
because I had that.
But then how do you get your kids to eat fruit and vegetables?
Oh, there's no getting kids to eat anything.
Because that's, I think, our biggest thing is we're trying to talk about intention of eating healthier and whatnot, making that transition from not having it to all of a sudden having fruit and vegetables every night. Or
I think it's good to just introduce it kind of slowly or every night, yes, but just realize they're probably not going to like it on the first or second or third try. It's just something that has to be continually introduced, and maybe they'll like something and not like other things. And as a kid, that's totally fine. My taste buds have changed as an adult. I was pretty picky as a kid. I eat way more stuff as an adult than I did as a kid.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be, I think, every kid.
And both of our kids are very, very different. We have one that will eat anything, healthy, unhealthy. It doesn't matter what it is. If we say, hey, here, this is for you,
This is
she'll
food.
eat it.
Like this is dinner. And
This is dinner.
She's always
She'll
been
eat
really
it, right?
good.
Or it's like, hey, you need to drink more water. She'll drink more water. The other one, the youngest, I think she has an eating disorder. It's undiagnosed at this point, but I've diagnosed her myself. And it's a form of anorexia. It's on the same.
Well, it's an eating disorder.
It's an eating disorder, but it's so anorexia. What's it called?
ARFID.
Avoidance, food restrictive.
Avoidance restrictive food intake disorder.
Yeah. So with anorexia, it's due to body dysmorphia, or you don't like the way you look, or
Body
it doesn't
image.
matter how much you gain or lose. It's always going to be a body thing.
Yeah.
With ARFIDs, it's textures of food, what they look like. It's the appearance. It's all this stuff.
colors.
It's not that she doesn't want
Just
to
like
eat.
sensory overload for it, or what?
It's different than what she remembers. For example, macaroni and cheese. She used to not eat that at all. Now she eats macaroni and cheese if it's Kraft, if it's not shaped,
If she cooks it,
if she cooks it, or if Dad or Izzy cooks it, not if Mom cooks it, or
She doesn't eat
the
a lot of
appearance.
things like that.
And it's only the appearance of Mom cooking it.
well, let's consider the source.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you get
she's probably right.
you get the Kraft macaroni, like the Easy Mac that you put in the microwave.
Yeah.
She won't eat it. Or if, for example, she eats these
It
chicken
is different.
tenders.
It is different than the
I will
stove
give you that.
It is.
So she eats these.
She's not
Chicken
wrong.
fries.
They're called chicken fries, and I think the only place I've seen them is at Walmart, and that's Tyson brand. One time we bought some from Target. They look exactly the same.
They did not taste the same, though.
They did not taste the same, and she
factory,
totally
though.
called it out. And she was like, nope. But even her chicken fries from Walmart, if they're bent a certain way, or if they're broken, or if someone takes a bite out of it, she will not eat them.
So with that, sometimes I feel hopeless with just how good the food industry is at creating things. I honestly I might be a conspiracy theorist in this, but they know what triggers our brains, and they know how to make us want more, and they know that's the goal. Does that make sense? The more we buy, the more we eat.
billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, totally. And at times I feel kind of hopeless because I'm like, how do we help our kids? Do you feel almost worried in the sense of what? If she's not getting enough vegetables, or if she, does that make sense? Because that's one of my biggest struggles as a parent is I feel guilty that I'm not setting them up for essentially a good future with food. Does that make sense?
And I don't have any guilt over it. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but I'm not too worried about that. And I think that's probably because I know myself, and I was fairly picky growing up.
You were similar in that way, or
Kind of. I was definitely not as bad as our youngest, but I was picky, and now I eat a lot more things, just a lot. And so I think kids' taste buds change. I think just introducing them to stuff and then letting them,
Kinda figure
I
it
don't know.
out.
I just don't. My biggest thing, with our youngest, I've learned to have to let go of that control, and just what she needs is calories.
Yeah.
She just has to eat some kind of calories. And there are times where I'm like,
control.
I know she's not getting the minerals. I know she's not getting the vitamins,
Protein.
like the protein. Like a lot of the time, I'm like, we've got to find some way to get protein into you. We've got to find some way to get something in you. But
that'd be tough.
I'm just trying to focus a lot of the time on, we just need her to eat something.
Yeah, we tried the
So-
forceful thing, right? If you're going to eat this, you're going
You're
to
going to
try
lick
it.
it. You're going
is
to
the
take a
only
small
thing.
bite.
And
And
You're
then
going to...
whatever calories
fire.
she had eaten for the day, she would throw up
Oh.
every time. Every
You force
single time.
it, she just throws it up. So
And we've brought it up to her pediatrician multiple times. He's like, as long as she's getting something, give it to her. Like
Yeah.
she'll hopefully grow out of it. You know,
Right.
but right now it's just getting her whatever she can eat, which her food groups are like brown buttered noodles, potato chips, Nutella,
apples, yogurt.
apples, candy.
Can you guys meal prep?
But we do try to like limit
We
a
try
little bit
to
of the
meal
candy
prep
because I
for
know
school
she's not
and she
getting
doesn't eat
anything
it.
from
For me.
that. So we try to
Yeah.
substitute it with something she will eat that's not just sugar.
Yeah.
That will give her something,
And I
for
think
sure.
regardless, like, I mean, I grew up, like I said, like I had really great home cooked meals, but I also feel like my relationship with food is like I'm working on my own relationship with food and what I use food to mask, or if I'm dealing with a lot of emotions, I rely on food or whatnot. Like, I mean, it might be from when I was like 7 or 8 years old and I was at my grandparents' house and my grandma had like a like a table. She always had candy around just sitting on her table. And like I was kind of a chunky kid. And my siblings were all pretty thin. But like whenever I walked over to the candy bowl, my grandma would be like,
No, I love how you started this story with it might have started like
this age?
there's no chance like that's how it started. For
I got
sure.
manners
Another
books.
one,
You
Piggy.
get cookbooks.
Oh my
You
gosh.
got oinked at.
You guys,
Oh my
I just
God.
remembered. Growing up, we had a gold pig at our dinner table. I just remembered that
Wait,
with
what,
your
though?
manners book, Ty,
Yeah.
and Justin's
grandma
snorting.
winking at me.
Yes. Growing
Oh
up for
my
dinner, there was a gold pig, and I stole it from my parents' house. Delete that from the podcast.
Was it actual gold?
Please leave that in.
Delete that. I stole it from my parents' house. It is a gold pig. And if you were a messy eater at dinner that night,
Get out.
the next
You got the
night,
golden pig?
You would get the gold pig sat in front of your
my
place, so you would eat your dinner with manners.
Oh
That's
my god!
Keep
classy.
in mind,
That's classy.
there's no good way to hide or eat boiled spinach.
Ugh.
Ugh.
It is disgusting. And that's what we would eat growing up sometimes, and I just didn't want to eat it.
That
And
was
I
the only thing I
always-
wouldn't eat is
You'd get
that
the
and fish.
pig?
I
when it was
always got the
boiled
golden
spinach night?
pig, and so
You
that is
see the
one
pig
thing I
or
stole.
the spinach, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm getting the pig."
How do we hide this? How do we hide it? Yep.
I actually think though, Justin, you make a really good point about you ate really well growing up and home cooked meals and not a lot of processed foods. But as an adult, because of the world we live in, where I think the fact that both parents work nowadays and stuff, like it's really hard
It
to
is
come
so
home
hard.
and cook a meal from scratch
It
after
is
you
so
worked all
hard.
day.
Well, and
100%.
You by the time you get home and then you prep and cook and bake and all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's close to bedtime.
Yeah, I don't like I'm tapped out at that point. I don't want to do that. So we're raising our kids in this world where they're all going to have to work and so it's a balance. It's teaching them a balance of like it's okay to eat out occasionally. Like don't feel guilty for eating out, but also like our bodies do require nutrients and vitamins and stuff that we can get from cooking those balanced meals at home, those whole
And
meals.
we tried. So they have, is it HelloFresh? Is that what we did?
Yeah, something like that. I
Factor
think it was
is another
Hello.
one.
So yeah, well,
HelloFresh,
HelloFresh is the one they send you all the ingredients, like
Yeah,
pre-measured
that's-
out.
right.
That's
Yeah,
one I
yeah.
was
You just
and
cook
you
it.
cook it.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
did that for about a year.
Yeah.
We did that for about a year, but then it kept getting to the point of,
We were really great at first.
yeah, for probably the first like 8 months. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, we didn't make this meal, so we need to freeze whatever it is to make it another week, but then you get next week's meals and the same thing happens, and all of a sudden you have this excess of food.
Well, and
Freezes
everybody
are full.
has those points in the year, right? Like for Ty, it's probably winter because you're out skiing a lot.
Yeah.
Where for us, like I feel like we're gone a lot in the summer. So like it's hard to try to cook a meal in the summer when you're running around or getting kids to activities or you're out doing stuff, you know?
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's also like, I think the other part that's overwhelming with it all is going back to the information part. Like, I can't afford eggs from Happy Chickens.
Just sad ones.
have this struggle every time I go to the grocery store.
The organic labeling.
chickens.
With what I'm willing to spend and what
my
Justin's
gosh.
willing to eat.
Yeah, like what level of happiness
I think
can
you
you
need to keep a
afford?
carton and you
for the
just
chicken?
refill
Refill
carton.
in the grocery store.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant, Whitney. I'm taking you with me.
Keep it in the garage. When you get out, you just refill. Oh
my gosh.
Oh, at home.
Wait,
I thought you were
meant
meaning in the grocery store.
I was going to take you grocery shopping with
I'll
me.
go with you.
So you could
I
take
will-
the
I will
happy
create
eggs
With
with
prom.
the unhappy eggs.
You could take the you could use the unhappy chicken box for the happy chicken eggs.
But
I'll draw you
make
your
it
own
dramatic
cards.
too. Like reach across the table and say, "No, that's an unhappy one," and yank it from his fork one day.
I'm gonna go and
fed
draw
you the
on
wrong
all
eggs.
of the egg cartons and say these ones were sad chickens.
Totally.
Clearly,
I'm going
sad
with you.
Chickens.
But
But
does
it
like-
is wild.
Yeah,
it's
does
wild
anybody
to walk
else,
into the
like-
grocery store now and see
Well, everything's
you can
so expensive.
choose
Everything is so
the
expensive.
happiness of your chicken.
I've never noticed that in my life.
What?
What are you talking?
Okay, I'm taking you with me next time.
Wait,
Where
like
are you shopping?
like
It doesn't
regular
say
eggs.
I think Whitney thinks you actually go there and it says happy chicken.
Are they
No,
under
it really
brighter
does.
lights
It
or
does.
something?
But
It's like cage free.
it's the idea
free
between
roaming.
just regular eggs,
Yeah,
you know,
free
they're like
range
$2 a
chickens, right?
dozen. Then there's cage free, then there's free range, and then there's pasture raised.
And
And the
then
reality
there's-
is that the pasture raised ones are the only ones that are actually let out,
Running around.
into,
And they're
like,
actually
an open.
running.
It's probably the leanest chicken too, because they're the only ones that get exercise. The other ones just sit in a cage and get fat, right?
Well, yeah, the other ones just sit in a cage and they feed them just straight antibiotics and hormones because they're just on top of each other and they're full of sickness running around with each other.
Crapping
and then,
on each other.
And they give them like they have such huge breasts that they can't even walk on these little tiny legs. Like, like honestly, and it's probably
Does she have a phone number?
It's a chicken.
Did you say breast?
I'm the single one
Ty,
here.
how do you feel about having chickens in your backyard?
I know. Okay, we all should be having chickens in the
I
back, in our
can't do
backyard.
it.
I
My
don't know that I
backyard
can
is so
either.
small.
Like-
I want to
I
be
have
able
this
to walk
whole
out
side
there
yard.
without
We wouldn't
a
even
chicken
see it.
attack.
We
That's
could
my
hang
problem.
out here
That's where I should put mine too.
and still
Yeah.
have them over
Can we
here.
put that gate in we've been talking
like
about
it.
for 8
yeah,
years?
let's do this.
Let's get 8 chickens at Ty's house.
Yes.
We could have a co-op, like an egg co-op
Are
here in the
they
neighborhood.
free range
I love
chickens?
that.
They would be considered like pasture raised because they could roam the neighborhood.
Or
we
is it
could
just
pet them,
backyard raised?
talk to them.
I don't know if you
Backyard
could call
Thai
that
pasture.
pasture raised.
Side
If we get in the
yard
gate,
Well,
raised.
then
then
they
you
can
have to be
roam your
careful too.
yard
Yeah,
and
that's
my
true.
yard.
That's
So-
true. I mean, Brad wouldn't be able to fertilize his lawns as many times as he does.
I don't care.
They
if
would
we
do
get
it for
diseases.
him.
If we just do it with feces, it's fine, right?
Fine. We've tried that before.
Oops. my
Not
bad.
ours.
My bad.
But honestly,
From the
like,
farm.
I mean, going back to the whole thing, like, it's so hard. Like, there's so much information out there, and you can see where, like, we've covered a wide range of topics. You can see why it's difficult for people to, like, stay on board and to figure it out because it's so overwhelming.
Right.
With
Totally.
And you talked about
totally.
the influencing thing
Yeah.
earlier, right?
Yeah.
Where with this, you can go and search whatever you want and find that influencer for that specific thing.
Yeah.
It
But what the
finds
hell
you
made
now.
that-
Here's us.
Exactly.
What the hell
Here's
made
us
that?
talking on the phone.
What made
So-
that influencer the subject matter expert just because they're regurgitating something they heard.
And that's the thing, right? It boils down to who's the best marketer, who can sway your opinion, who can grab your attention in that moment,
Who can set up a diet plan and charge for it.
Well, and we are
and
such a like an immediate gratification society. Like we expect, I've started this diet. Why am I not getting all the results that
in
this
3
person
days
got
or a week?
And like the latest one for me is like these calisthenics in 28 days workouts or whatever. How many people pay the money, get the workout?
The better me.
That I don't know what it is, but
They totally didn't get
I'm not doing
$30
it.
from me.
That's where I boiled back down. I'm like, okay, what worked last year?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm going to kind of just double down on that and focus on it.
Yeah, because Ty,
It's hard to do.
I worked out 4 times this year, and I am not seeing a difference.
He's hit his goal
I
though,
am
for the
hit
amount of
my
days
goal.
worked out.
Phenomenal.
Curry's at 400% right now.
The thing is, I think a lot of these things focus on you feeling guilty and you feeling bad about yourself, right?
100%.
That's all of what it, like, if you feel bad enough about yourself or guilty enough about X, Y, and Z, then you're going to buy this program or you're going to do, it turns into just everybody being on this huge guilt trip.
Well, the thing with workouts too is, you think about back when you were a kid, how many different workouts were there?
I didn't know of any.
5.
Like when you went to school and you were playing sports or whatever, they had like, here's your 10 workouts for the year. And even with workout plans like at gym, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, watching his documentary and watching all those other guys that were bodybuilders and lifters, they don't have these 4,000 workouts. And so what I've done the past like 2 years is I've kind of gone back to, I'm like, I don't care what anybody else says. Because people are like, oh, I got this workout. I'm doing a chest workout. I'm doing, chest and buys or whatever, back and buys, whatever. And they have
Ty,
these.
how do you feel about this?
They have these.
I feel
400
a little
workouts.
worked out about it.
I think they have these 400 workouts, but yet you think back in the day, and it's like the farm boys, that were throwing hay out on the farm.
That was me.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it was your brothers throwing it, right? But But I mean, you look at
Cheering them on.
You look at the people that are doing those things, and they all have those ripped bodies. But yeah, so I'm just like, F it. I'm not going to do these 4,000 things. I'm going to do the same 10 workouts, the 10 same exercises every time, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I've probably seen more results with that than trying to change up my workout. And everybody's like, oh, well, I did this workout. Now I need to change it. And I got to pronate my hand a little bit more on my whatever workout. And I think there's so many things out there that everybody's trying to do something different that it gets so overwhelming and confusing for everyone.
Well,
Where it sticks to the
absolutely.
basics.
But I
Well,
think
and
that goes back to Ty's point of being consistent. I think that is the bigger factor of just doing something.
Yeah, because how many people do
Back
you
to
know
the
that
basics.
did that program? They signed up for it and they actually completed it and they found great success at it.
But it's not sustainable.
And then when it's done, it's like
it's not sustainable.
it's
not
over. They
sustainable.
fall back into their old habits.
P90X.
Yeah, yep,
P90X,
exactly.
the hard
The hard
75.
70. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
even like you brought
75
up
hard,
that I used to do
75 hard.
bodybuilding. A lot of those people, it's an up and down for them. Like I'm in competition season, I'm losing all this weight, I'm putting on muscle, and then as soon as that's over, they'll gain 30 pounds because they were so like rigorous in what they're eating that after it's over, they can't maintain that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
I'm with,
it is finding
very
that
rare.
balance.
I'm with you, Brad. Just staying consistent and finding, those few workouts or exercises that work for you and then focusing on that. And I think the consistency is big, is staying consistent with the basics.
I think that's another marketing thing that we've kind of run into is people saying, you got to mix it up. You're going to plateau, all these things, which are probably true for somebody who's been at it for 10 years, their body gets so used to it because they're so consistent. They already have that consistency. I've never been close to that.
Well, and it's like, and for most people, we're not going to be the bodybuilder type. We're not going to be so
Yes.
freaking
We're
fit
not
that
looking
like
for that.
we're looking to stay healthy. We're looking to, be more active and to, lose a couple pounds along the way. Like it's not this like,
And it's going to the supplement thing too with the whole diet and exercise, right?
That's
Like BCAAs, I take pre-workout because gives me that extra energy because I do the high intensity stuff in a shorter amount of time. But like you have BCAAs, you have creatine, you have what vitamins are you taking? You know, everybody has.
Are you
like
asking me? Because I could tell you.
Well, I know.
Kurt, how many
We don't
vitamins
have
am I taking?
enough time for that.
Can we go to our conversation last night? Because as soon as Brad started saying BCAAs and creatine, I shut down. I'm like,
Well,
I don't
that's
even
a
know
whole
what you're
world
talking
into
about.
itself. That is overwhelming.
And that is
Yeah.
overwhelming
But I
because
think-
you have to take this to counteract this, and then
But
you
I
have
don't
to take
think
that for
but that, I
this
think
to
Brad's
work.
point is you don't
You
have
don't
to take
need
any of
that
that shit.
Like,
But some of it you probably should, as we're getting older.
There's some things
We
that
should
yes,
be taking
there's some
some
vitamins, there's
supplements
some
we're not
minerals, there's
getting.
some stuff, but a lot of it is a ploy. And how do you know that what you're taking is actually good stuff?
Right.
Don't you
Yeah,
think
it's
a lot
not,
of that
it's
shit's
not.
not
And that's
FDA.
where I
Yeah.
just shut down
regulated.
because I don't know the difference and I
But-
don't have the willingness to research it.
Yeah.
Thank God Justin does.
Yeah, but
Because
even researching
I look at
it, like
him and
if you
said, just order me one.
I
Whatever you
think-
tell me I need to take, just put it on the counter.
but is it working?
You're
It-
gonna,
it's
don't
working
know.
for me. Like
I don't know.
The
He hasn't
things that
ordered them
the
yet.
things that I am taking
Let's hear it. I'm interested.
is working for me, and a lot of it is
That's a different
regards to
conversation.
in regards to
Is
gut.
it Blue Chew?
It is, but it's in regards to my gut health. And I don't take it necessarily. I do take creatine. There's many benefits to
So
creatine
do we.
aside from just muscle growth. It's really good for brain health as well. But from the things that I am taking, I feel night and day difference from a year ago.
See,
And I've
almost
been
every
taking them
supplement
for
that
a
I've
year.
tried, nothing.
But you've been taking
Give it
other
a shot.
supplements that help with generic sleeping and stuff like that has helped you
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
kind of find more of a restful sleep that
Nice.
not specific to gut
How
health.
would
or
that
Yeah,
anything else.
that's true. Yeah.
And that you've seen great success with.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is your sources and where you're getting your information from and who you're listening to. I think just any influencer, you can't necessarily just believe them.
Agreed.
With that being said, the one that I do follow, and he is a heart scientist that works for St. Jude's Hospital, I still question where, like
So not reputable.
who's paying, like
Only
who
the
else
Mayo
is
Clinic?
paying him?
Yeah, what are you getting on the back end of
yeah,
this?
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I always question
Yeah.
that, and the
I think
more
you
and
have to.
more I do, like with just what's out there, like you have to question and you have to
Well, that's
wonder where-
that's the hard part in life in general, right?
totally,
Like,
and it's
with-
getting worse.
With my schooling, we have to do medical research, and you can find research on whatever the hell you want, pro or con.
yeah,
Sure.
You're gonna go research topic A. You're gonna find this half of the room can do scientific articles by professional scientists, whoever you want, and then this side of the room is going to go against it, and they're going to find the same.
You can find backing
the same
for any of your
scientific people, or
Yeah.
Find
people that
counter
are
arguments to
educated in that.
anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's the hard part on this is you can find whatever you want in a scholarly article regarding both sides.
Well, that's
of
the
every
pros and
story.
cons of the
So
internet
how
and
do
stuff
you-
in general.
Well,
How
and
do you narrow that down?
that's the
It's almost
Like this.
impossible.
I
It's
already
just like
believe
with
this
news.
stance, and this goes with what I believe in. I will listen to that one. Just kidding.
it doesn't help that everybody's body is different, though, don't you
Right.
think?
Oh,
And that
yeah.
our circumstances and what we are putting into our body and everything like that. So I think it is kind of a messy science to try to nail
It
down.
is.
But there is plenty of,
Well,
we know we should be eating more protein
Right.
and less carbs,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Today.
And I
That's
mean,
what
That
Next
sounds
week.
made up.
There's
in
a-
That sounds made up.
healthcare is they call it's an evidence-based science, which
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
constantly evolving off of whatever evidence
the pharmaceutical.
whoever can prove.
provide.
Right.
Well, that's the thing.
Based
yeah,
on
that too.
studies.
That is.
That too.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean,
It's hard. That's why it's hard.
And it's kind of pick and choose your battles on it, but it's just difficult. If you pick one side and you say this is 100% correct, you're probably wrong.
Right. Right.
I have been eating long enough and have eaten enough food, though. At this point, I kind of know what makes me feel great and what
Yeah.
makes me feel terrible.
Well,
So-
you know
think if
what
you
you
listen to your
should be
body,
eating.
yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
we know what we should be eating and what we should be eating more or less of.
Agreed. But
Yeah.
the taste does not always align
True.
with the health side of that. Have you noticed?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
But with
If
vitamins,
you
we
crush up
did,
potato chips on anything, it's pretty good.
because I've tried like the vitamins and
gravel.
supplements. And have
I'm
seen,
coming to your house, Steve.
you know, you try them for 6 months to 8 months or whatever, and I've never seen any results. You stop taking them cold turkey. Never once on any of them have I ever noticed
A difference.
a difference.
So I don't know how off topic we want to get, but the intermittent fasting has made me feel the best. Like of all this stuff, just giving my body this break
I think this is very on topic.
to adjust and to actually digest the food that I ate before. And then there's a whole bunch of additional things that your body starts going into, like cell cleanup and some things like that you only reach if you are 14, 15, 16 hours into fasting, or at least a break from your last meal.
Now, is that true? Is there actual research behind that your
Yes.
cells are actually
There-
doing that?
Yes.
Or is that all made
these are
up
biological functions
There
that
is
the body
scientific
does. So-
evidence on both
Okay,
sides.
I'm just
yes.
asking. On both
So-
sides. Yeah, that's what I would say.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it's
But
easy to
somebody
say
can
that,
say
but do
it's
we
not.
actually know that?
Well, okay, there might be arguments either way. Going back to personal experience. So my gut stuff caused so much pain. Like it was so painful. The intermittent fasting was one thing that I had read about that helps because it gives your gut more time to replenish and to heal from and
Process
digest
what's in
all the
there and
yes,
get-
exactly. And to start to get all the flora and everything. Like so
Yeah.
so on days I actually haven't felt it for a while, but on days that I start to feel that pain, I do skip breakfast.
I think
and
that's
I give
great
it
'cause
that extra time, and it totally works.
I think everything really does come down to what works for you personally.
For you.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
that was going to be my point as well.
Totally.
There are all these things that we're told that you are benefits
Yep.
from doing this
I'm
sort
a
of
tiny
thing.
bit tipsy, so I was just cutting you off.
It's
And
totally fine. I just like I can feel that. Like my body likes that, and so
When you say
Well, it kinda
intermittent
stinks.
fasting, how long are you going?
I eat for 8 hours and I fast for 16. So I'll start eating around noon, and I can eat all of my calories up until 8 p.m. and then I don't eat again till noon the next day.
You can drink and have like black coffee and stuff, but
Yes.
it's kind of
Yeah, yeah,
clearly
yeah.
You
It's
can have
not-
coffee and like water during
And tea,
those off
anything
times.
but no
non-calorie.
like dairy with it. You can't have
so
creamer.
literally
And
just
I
black
do.
coffee.
I can
Oh,
do
I'm out.
relight.
I
I,
know,
do
me
the
too.
That's
relight.
too much.
Oh yeah, the salt.
Electrolytes
No, thank you.
in my water, so I can get more water in me during the fast.
You can have electrolytes.
Was that a struggle
yeah,
though?
because
to-
it's,
as long as it doesn't
there's
have
0
sugar.
calories.
is that a
even
struggle?
if it's
though,
even
Ty?
if it's artificially
No sweeteners, no nothing like that. So that
Is that for the cell thing or like?
Right.
actually it can
No,
be
I-
some.
Shut up, Brad.
It
No,
has to
I'm
be
just
less than 40
because I'm like,
calories or
if
something.
I got up and had a cup of coffee with some creamer in it, like, and
That'll
then
throw
didn't
you
eat
out.
anything till noon. So is it like
No,
the
that would throw
keto
you
thing?
out.
It's the
like
creamer
you're
that
trying to
starts
get
your
into
body
a
sta-
certain.
Sort of, but you
Because
don't
if I
ever
had
really
that
get to
at
keto.
8 a.m. and then I didn't eat anything till noon, my body, like my stomach's going to be empty.
I
No,
would
but the
do
It's
idea
not
is
going to
you
be
can-
anything.
It has to do with
You
like
can eat
insulin
anything
release
you
and everything
want.
else.
I mean, eat healthy, but you still need to make decent choices. But you can eat anything you want during your eating hours.
So do you
that's-
follow a meal plan during the 12 to
No,
8?
I don't. I just try and eat
Make
healthy.
conscious
So,
choices.
yeah, like I do a lot of salad. I try and marinate chicken because my son really likes chicken when I make it. So,
I'd
I'll throw a
probably
bunch
like
of the.
that too, Ty. If you will make me one.
I'll throw it over
Thank
the
you.
fence. No, but I'll just throw a bunch of that on the grill early in the week, usually when I'm not busy and leaving town or whatever. And then I just bag it in the fridge, and then I'll just pull one out. I try and grab like a couple dozen eggs and hard boil those so that I can just peel some of those, but that kind of stuff.
What?
I work with a gal that does it, intermittent fasting thing, and she's lost weight. She feels great.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything about it for her has been awesome.
It's not for everyone. Like I've tried to do it regularly.
Right. Yeah.
I can't. I get moody.
Well, and
it's
it-
you
and
know.
it's- If
I've
it
tried
works
to do
for
the same
you,
thing.
yeah.
I
'Cause,
can't
like,
do it.
And if you're a parent at home with your kids and you have lunchtime and breakfast and all that other stuff, it might not work for you.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So there's other factors to look at too, like
Well,
social
and
stuff.
for me, that's what I failed on. So the consistency of that, keeping with it. When I
Yeah.
do it consistently, I feel great. So that's the goal, is try to stay consistent on it and do it regularly and really realize the benefits, not cut it off every 2 weeks and pound a gallon of ice cream or something. So,
Oh my gosh.
I like that goal.
Speaking of ice cream,
oh no.
Costco's
Sabotaged
vanilla ice
everyone.
cream is seriously
Don't go
so
there.
delicious.
It is so good.
It is
It's
so
so
good.
rich and creamy.
Yes. It is
Okay,
so
resolution number 3.
good. Wow.
One ice cream per week.
Balance, consistency, ice cream.
Are you talking about up at the front where you can order it like with pizza?
No.
Or
back
like,
in the
No, like
freezer.
it's in the
that you
it's
buy
in the
back in the back.
yeah,
in the,
it's
in
in
the
half
Serve it
gallons
Yep,
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
It's good
And
stuff.
it's not full of like there's only like 3 or 4 ingredients in it.
Luckily, we don't have any room in our freezers to buy that, so we're good.
We'll store it
We will
for
find some room. Just go ahead, Justin.
I make homemade ice cream over usually buying ice cream.
Yeah, we do make homemade ice cream. Does anyone
too.
have
I have
any
partaken.
non-exercise diet related goals this year?
Yes.
Justin has
Perfect.
about 14,
Justin?
so
I did try to keep it limited this year, but like
limited. How many would you typically do in the past?
well, I think
He
it's
hasn't named any yet.
a big
Sounds
big
like you did
thing.
like 8.
A big thing for this year was relationships, and like I really want to focus on just relationships and seeing people that I haven't seen for a while, and making the time to actually schedule dinners and schedule interactions and stuff with people that we haven't stayed in touch with, but who are really important to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to make it a point to schedule date nights with our kids individually. And then as I sent that out,
Yes, let me stop you right there. He sent a list of goals
This is what
and
we're doing.
included date nights with each one of the kids, and I had to beg for one as well.
Not
Did
with
you
your
add
spouse,
me as
just
a
the
kid
kids.
on the list?
He
please?
said, "Sometimes I treat you as a kid," and he said, "Thank you."
I know. I said, wait, I
Sometimes
did.
I
I
spank you
included
like a
all of my
child.
kids.
So yes, I do get a kid date night. every
It
once
was a
in
good
while.
reminder, but I also felt
Every
like
4 weeks.
him and I do spend a lot of time together, and we do have so that
Curry, do you
Yes.
feel like you guys spend a lot of time together? We would like your weigh in on that.
We do spend a lot of time. I think we spend a lot more time than most couples.
Is it less?
together.
Is it less time in the last year or so because you went to work?
Yes, and that was a definite adjustment. Is that's why I'm
It
asking
still
for
is.
a date night.
That's good.
yeah.
Well,
I
do
thought
think
about
it's
dating.
different, getting out.
I'm going to shoot for 2025.
That's good, Ty. Just
We're
put
just going to
it,
2024.
It's not on
reach
this
for the
year's goal.
stars in another
Thanks
year.
for your support, friends. You're all like, yeah, that's a good idea.
another-
Maybe 2026. Let's give it a
Let's get
little
through this
while.
year. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I think in another episode we need to talk about kids and relationships and stuff because
Oh, right.
I think we've brought that up in the past with like my parenting. I need some help in that category sometimes, which I think we all do. But
Brad likes
yeah.
a lot
we've
of
talked about
sarcasm.
that.
Perfect.
We've talked about that goal for probably the last 2 years at least of taking kids out on dates.
Yeah, we're
We
never
haven't made it.
consistent
Too,
with it.
Yeah, we've never made it too far, but
But
I think
that's-
it's hard. I think it's
it
hard.
is hard.
Life gets busy. You get activities and
does.
kids are doing. It's just one more thing where you're already overscheduled. You have to schedule it.
So I guess that's my thing with the New Year's resolution is it's kind of like a rehab of any sort. Rehab's not going to help you. These goals are not going to help you unless you're willing to put in that time
change.
and effort, right?
That's my
Which
problem.
it's at New Year's Eve, it's just forced at that point of like, okay, well, it's New Year's, so I have to do this.
But I think
it's-
it's how you look at it, because I don't look at it as like a New Year's Eve. I didn't make these necessarily on New Year's Eve. I processed through it.
a New Year's goal,
It's
so
just
day
like, hey,
after, 2 days later.
it's a new start. Like what do we want to focus on this year? What are some and for me it kind of goes like the exercise thing. Like if I go a week and I don't exercise, that doesn't mean that I like
That you failed.
that
and
I
you give up.
failed. Does that make
Right.
sense? Like you jump back on it the next week and you get back at it. And if you only work out one time the next week, that's one more time than you wouldn't have if you did nothing. Like, so I think like with the kids and taking them out on a date or something, like if I could do it even 4 months out of the year, that's 4 months that I didn't do it last year.
Well, and it's four
Does that make
more
sense?
times to connect.
Absolutely.
With them on a
Absolutely.
different level.
I'm not saying
Absolutely.
don't have goals. I'm just saying the New Year's ones suck. typically.
Well,
That's
and
your
I think
attitude.
I
You
think
gotta
it's
know
all
your
how you
problem.
look at it. Yeah,
How
I
many-
think it's going to
okay.
how we label it. We're labeling it
guess
with
You love
Let's
New
look.
Year's goal.
I guess the thing is, let's look
I
at
get
how
it.
many New Year's resolutions goals have you actually kept over the last 10 years?
I've never
You're
made
looking at it
revisit.
wrong. You're looking at it wrong.
Yeah, you
though.
say you love goals.
I set a goal to take my kids
When
out
you're
on
ready
a date.
for it.
But no, like I set a goal to take my kids out on a date once a month. Yeah, I probably won't make it. But if I do it 6 times because I put it top of mind or I said I was going to do it, that's 6 times that wouldn't have happened. So to me, that's a success.
And you just
Absolutely.
happened
I
to
agree
set
with
that goal
At one
in
time of the year.
January.
Right.
One
So
time
it
of the
wasn't
year.
a New
Happened to
Year
put
goal.
it, but it's one time that I didn't think about it any other like. So if it's one time out of the year that it triggers some kind of like,
If
hey,
that's what you need, that's what
I should
you get.
put that out there. Like I think one time is better than none time. And if it's because at the beginning of the year I was like, hey, what do I want to focus on this year? Then I think that's a success.
Well, I think New Year's resolutions are good in the fact that if it wasn't a thing where people created New Year's resolutions, there would be a lot of people that didn't ever reflect or didn't sit
Totally.
down and try
Progress.
to progress. It would just be, we're just moving through life and
just
trying
keep
to
going.
get through life.
Gyms would struggle.
Brad, you just need a fiscal year when it comes to
Yeah,
resolutions.
Brad,
Let's
you can
do
start,
June, July.
Yeah.
You can start on
Can we set
February.
these goals in
February
June, July?
1st, it's fine.
He's very
It's fine.
angry at January for something.
June, July, we can set
It's
these
obviously
goals.
a really triggering, depressing month. Like, whoa.
We're just very busy in
Next year,
January.
starting
we'll
in
set
November.
February goals.
I'm going to
Starting
start
July
texting him.
for you.
I guess I'm looking at it
Brad,
as the success
resolution
rate.
time.
That's all.
What's on your list?
But I think
You
it's
have
the
to win.
success rate because of how it's been perceived. But I think that's the whole point of what we've been talking about
Perceived
today.
or reality?
No, perceived. Like, what is success? Like,
Yeah, because you
if somebody
you can
makes
create
a goal,
goals and create and knock them out of the park. You could do that, but you're looking at it as, well, it's a resolution, so I don't actually have to do that.
True.
Yeah.
Well, and I think looking back at it, the biggest thing is intention. What is the intention? Are you trying to improve? Are you trying to just set a goal to say I have a New Year's goal? Like, or do
Yeah,
you
That-
actually
I think
want
that's
to?
part
Intention
of
is
my
huge.
point. I think that's part of my point. Is New Year's just it's forced of
It's
I
a
have
forced.
to create
I get
a
it.
resolution,
But
a
no one's
goal. I
forced.
have to. Well, they're not. Well,
There's
no
an-
one's forced to
there's
buy
an-
Christmas gifts every year, but we do.
There's an
No
overall.
one's forced
well, not
to.
everyone does.
There's a lot of trauma to
No
unpack
one's-
here for Brad. So we're gonna,
But somewhere we found a
there's a whole
trigger.
episode in here.
Was this part of
That's
not
just
going
my
to
thoughts.
church? You had to, like, you were forced
for sure.
Right,
make
new resolution.
All my advice is for the listeners is set goals when you're ready for goals.
There you go.
Absolutely.
That's 100% true.
Absolutely.
So never.
Just don't do it in January. Those ones are meant to
do
fail.
it whenever
Those are meant to
December
fail.
31st.
Plus
I
or
mean,
minus
is
a
it
week.
a little annoying when you've been going to the gym and then in January it's
worst.
flooded?
It's full for a couple
Yeah,
months.
it's a little annoying, but also like
But maybe it's
good for those people for getting
Exactly,
out.
like-
That's right.
Even if they're literally there for January and February, they worked out January and February and they were there. Like, yes, my machine, I can't get that. I can't, but I know
there's
it's
more
going to die
people to
off.
show
and
you
at
how to
least-
work that machine.
Exactly.
Remember
But
I
that?
they
can
probably
watch them.
died in January for not knowing how to use the machine.
I'm never coming back.
That's
no,
my
but it's
sadistic
it's
view
so
is
good
I
for
would-
them.
When you say that my sadistic view is I'm like, oh, that it goes to the business mindset of like that gym just profited 10 months out of these people.
Yeah, good, for them.
Yeah, but
That's what I'm
that's
saying. Good
yeah.
for them.
That's the business model of that whole industry. So
totally.
For sure.
non-use subscriptions with non-use. So
So if there was one piece of advice or one thing that you could offer to the listeners of something that you have found, I don't know, that helps you be successful or that something, you know, in your fitness goals or your eating habits or whatnot, if there was one thing that you could share, what would that be?
I'll jump in. I think mine is not fitness related, but I think the biggest thing that keeps coming back to me, the one word, like you mentioned, Ty, earlier, is intention. Living with intention this year is doing things with purpose and doing things with intention that actually make a difference. and living where, like you mentioned earlier, Justin, is relationships, things that I'm doing. Am I going through the motion, or am I living with an intention to be better, to make the world a better place? My network, my people around me, am I doing something intentionally that will help or benefit them? And I think that's my big word this year is intention.
Cool. I love that. How about you, Whit?
I think my biggest piece of advice is to let go of the guilt. We all set a lot of goals. We all have a lot of intentions. We all have a lot of stuff that like it's just like Brad's annoyance with resolutions. Like they're not all going to come to fruition. Like we're not going to hit everything, and don't let that make you spiral out of control or spiral into a depression or make you feel like you're a loser or whatever it is. Don't let the guilt get to you. Like it's okay. We're human. We make mistakes. And you're also allowed to have that cookie. You're allowed to miss that workout. There's other things to life. If you're so focused on those things, that's not a life either. So let the guilt go.
Right.
Totally agree. How about you, Brad?
Mine would be kind of two words in one. It'd be realistic moderation.
Love it.
So I think if you make those goals or resolutions and you make them realistic in moderation for your life, I think they would be a lot more, instead of making those unrealistic goals or resolutions, I think if they're realistic and knowing that they can be in moderation, you don't have to set a goal for 0, because in reality that's not going to work out, right? Like not having candy. That might work out for a year if you're super dedicated, but it's not realistic.
Yeah.
When you do have that piece of candy or that cake for your kid's birthday, ice cream, whatever it's going to be, it's going to feel real shitty when you do, and then you're going to, I think it's just setting yourself up for failure if you don't set those goals with realistic moderation.
Yeah.
I love it. For me, it's always easier to find the focus on where I'm going if I've looked back at where I've been. So, I think that's what I would recommend.
I like that.
Find some way to track your progress on those things, even if it's just a little bit this year.
I'm going to try it, Ty.
Like you need to reward yourself when and praise yourself. We're always tearing ourselves down. So reward yourself for the things you did right. Find out 1 or 2 things that could have been better, and you have a whole new year to work on that stuff.
Yeah. I like that. I think for me, finding people that are similar minded and have kind of similar goals or interests. Like one thing that's helped me even just with our group is our watches and having them connected with one another. And that like when you guys complete a exercise and I make some kind of random comment on it, or when I close my rings and you guys make just knowing that we're connected that way, it's kind of almost an accountability partner.
It really is.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Even if you don't comment, because I'm horrible
motivation.
at commenting on
Yeah. But just knowing
seeing it, seeing Ty finish to work out, Justin finish to work out like at 8 in the morning. I'm like,
totally.
I really gotta go.
It's great motivation to get out.
It is.
Totally. I think that's been huge for me. But I also if I could share one thing is a 5-minute walk is better than no walk at all.
Amen.
Yeah.
A 20-minute workout is better than no workout at all. And so if you can just try to do something more than what you've been doing, that is success. Like that is better than not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think needs to be celebrated.
Totally.
Yes. Celebrate yourself for sure.
The one thing that I'm thrilled none of us said was less alcohol. So the tipsy neighbors.
We know better.
So the
We know
tipsy
better.
neighbors
We are
will
the tipsy
live
neighbors.
another summer.
Yes, Gray, you can walk over to the
Thank you.
podcast with a bottle of champagne.
Thank
It's
you.
fine.
I was getting really worried about what our goals were going to be this year.
Not one person mentioned that.
No. Thank you.
I love it.
Okay. We'll see you next time. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Don't forget, you can find us online at tipsyneighbors.com, at the Tipsy Neighbors on Instagram, and on X, formerly Twitter, @TipsyNeighbors. We hope to hear from you soon.